Well, hey there. As you can see, I am in the latest mutation from BMW. It's called the X4, and it's a compact coupe-styled crossover. Funny thing is, you can bet that this thing is going to be populating mall parking lots near you very soon. But the weather is terrible outside, so why don't you hop on in so I can show you what all the fuss is about. Okay, now, like I said a second ago, this is the X4, and that's a new nameplate for BMW, but it's hardly a new concept. As you probably know, they started docking the tail on the X5 years ago in order to create the X6, and roughly 250,000 of you since then have voted yes with your wallets, cementing that thing as an automotive success, to say the least. Now they're doing the same thing with the X3 by giving it a coupe-ish style. Well, you get the point. So what are the primary differences between this and the X3 that it's based on? Well, the roof is about 2.2 inches lower. It gets a new front fascia and of course a different rear end along with that coupe-ish tapered back. You do give up a little bit of headroom for the different roof line, but it's not as much as you would think. Now, mind you, one of the big trade-offs is that you give up more than 1/3 of the cargo capacity with the X4 relative to the X3. You get 17.7 cubic feet, and that's really not a lot considering what you could have if you went with the more traditionally styled vehicle. Still, the back seats are not awful. Honestly, I would be pretty comfortable in them. On the other hand, if you are 6 feet or taller, then you're probably going to feel a little bit cramped. Aside from that, this is pretty much traditional BMW fare. The cabin is exactly the same as what you would find with the X3. All the switchgear is the same, the dashboard, and the truth is this is a very, very well executed car. I'm not in love with the quality of the leather that they use. It's a little bit rough, a little bit harsh. I'd prefer it to be a bit softer, but I'm still not going to argue with the fact that this is really a beautiful car on the inside. And by now, you're probably asking, Luke, why the heck would anybody want to buy one of these things instead of an X3? After all, you pay roughly a $2,500 to $4,000 premium to get into one of these over its more traditional sibling, and you're really just paying more for less, at least less practicality when you think about it. But then again, you could apply the same argument to plenty of other cars. I mean, the Civic sells as a sedan and then also as a coupe, and people don't really seem to mind paying a premium for that, right? Now, apart from being stylistically different, the fact that you sit lower in the chassis also does give it a sportier feel, even if you are still in a crossover and riding relatively high. Not to mention the stiffer suspension that comes with the M Sport package, which gives the car sharper handling characteristics, even if it's not by all that much. But it's a good thing because it has a heck of an engine under the hood. Now, 300 horsepower might sound kind of wimpy, especially when you consider that this thing weighs almost 4,300 pounds, but remarkably, it feels very, very quick. And that's thanks in no small part to the twin turbo setup that BMW uses. And you know, the thing is, peak boost comes on at 1,200 RPM and sticks around till about 5 grand, which means that you've always got lots of power. It's also really, really comfortable over rough pavement. I mean, I can comfortably drive over speed bumps basically without slowing down at all, which is surprising because this again has the stiffer suspension, although it probably also has something to do with the fact that we're riding on higher profile winter tires right now. Now, BMW gets its 8-speed automatic from ZF, and that's a really good thing because that company builds spectacular products. Shifts are almost imperceptibly smooth under acceleration, although they do get a little bit rougher when you're driving at low speeds. Still, this transmission is miles behind Porsche's 7-speed PDK. Now, I say that for one specific reason, because I know that this car uses an 8-speed automatic with a torque converter, and that's a 7-speed dual clutch. Of course, I'm aware of that. But what you might be surprised to know is that this car is remarkably similar to the Porsche Macan. For example, they have the exact same length, nose to tail. They have exactly the same cargo capacity. Their prices have overlaps between the xDrive35i and the Macan S, and they have similar curb weights, so they're actually pretty close. It is worth pointing out that the Macan is more expensive, especially fully loaded, than the X4, but it raises an important question. Is a BMW really worth Porsche money? Honestly, that's a question that I've been struggling with all week with this car, but it boils down to a couple of things in my mind. This thing is a lot of fun to drive. I have to say that BMW's electric steering is really, really starting to shine. I mean, under cornering load, it has a very nice progressive weight that it builds up to, and it gives you a great sense of what the front wheels are doing. Just like the X3, the X4 handles its weight admirably. No, you don't get the mess of features that Porsche will sell you at the top end, but the important stuff is here. I mean, you still get idiot-proof parking, which is useful because there's no rear window to speak of. Can't see anything out of the back. You also get blind spot monitoring, lane departure warning, adaptive cruise control. You can't get stuff like an air suspension, and it's not gonna be, the Swiss Army knife take-all-comers crossover that some of its competitors are, but keep in mind, this is a less expensive product, and it does everything that it needs to very, very well. Assuming that space and practicality aren't your top priorities, the X4 is quick, it's comfortable, it's fun to drive, and it can do 9/10 of what its competitors can at a lower price. Now, if you'll excuse me, I think I spotted a snowy parking lot just back there on the road, so I'm gonna go have some fun.